Hey gamers, if you think you can create the most beautiful forest with all of your trees and wisps, then you want to check out Wispwood. Let's take a look at how this game plays. In this game, players are going to be making 3 different grids over the course of 3 different rounds. One is going to be a 4x4, then a 5x5, then a 6x6. At the very beginning of the game, the players will only start with their cat tile on top of a tree, and they do not have a defined grid yet, so they can build kind of in any direction. The cat does not have to be in the center or on an edge or anything like that. Players will just kind of define their grid as they play. They will have to pay attention to the different scorecards that are out. The witch one will always have a rule about where a witch has to be placed. The others will just have rules about how they're going to score, so you'll want to kind of put them into placements in your grid that will help them to score. On a player's turn, they will take one of the wisps from the center of the board, and they will take additional tree tiles so that they have enough to make one of the shapes that is next to. So maybe I want to take this pink tile here, which pinks are going to score for all of the trees beneath them. And then I'm going to take 2 other tiles because I'm going to make this shape here because it was one of the available ones next to it. So I'm going to do this and this and this. That's what I'm going to do for that one. And then it would be the next player's turn, and we'll go back and forth. If on a player's turn there is only one color of wisp available in the center, they are able to wipe the board for free and refill it with all new tiles to give them a little bit more choice. Players can also wipe the board and fill it in with new tiles by flipping over their cat, and that would be even if it's not all of one color, so they can always do that. In order to flip their cat back over, they will need to take a tree turn. Instead of taking a wisp from the center, they will take a tree turn, which is taking 1, 2, or 3 trees from the pile and then just putting those somewhere into their grid, and they don't have to go all together. I could do something like this if I wanted to. At the end of the round, when somebody has completed their grid of the size based on that round, players will score all of the scoring cards, and then they will move their cat to another available tree if they want to. They can leave it where it is, wipe all of the trees out of their grid, and leave any of the wisps. So maybe I had this and this as well left over. So those are okay. And I would have wiped all the trees, and we'd start off with the next round. So then we would keep going with taking the wisps and the trees together and making those shapes, kind of working around what's already left behind in the grid. At the end of the game, after scoring all 3 rounds, the player with the most points wins. First of all, I thought this game was super pretty. I really liked how everything looked, and I also thought that this game was really unique. I really liked that you weren't given tiles that were a certain shape. You were going to take one wisp tile and make that shape using some extra trees, depending on how many you needed for that shape. I thought that was really unique, really cool for a tile laying game. I also thought it was cool that you were making a different size grid each round, but you are going to leave a lot of your tiles in there round to round, so you have to kind of work around things and plan based on what you had to leave behind, including your cat, because if you don't set yourself up just right, you're going to end up having to take more tree turns than maybe you want to, because you have to just kind of fill in a lot of gaps, which can feel like it's slowing you down a little bit. Overall, it did feel very kind of like multiplayer solitaire. There is obviously like the drafting. People might take what you want out of the center, or might take just, the things that are around the shape. There's a little bit of mitigation by being able to use your cat to wipe the board if you want to, or use any shape that you want to, no matter where you took a wisp from. So there's a little bit of mitigation in that, and then, like I said, you are kind of just working on your own board. You can't affect another player's board. You can only affect what you take out of the center. So you are kind of in your own little realm, just kind of making your own little grid and not having to worry too much about other people, but you do want to pay attention to like what players are going for and how they're doing with scoring, of course, paying attention to if they're even able to take certain wisps, because maybe you want to take something away from them if you're torn between 2 tiles that are out there, things like that. I think that overall it works pretty well. Games always seem pretty close in score because it's kind of difficult for players to kind of veer too far off and not score very well, just because of the nature of the game. You are able to kind of rack up your score depending on those scoring cards. So I do seem like the scores will usually be pretty close, which is good as long as you like having a close win, close loss kind of thing. Overall, like I said, I do think it works pretty well if you like tile-laying games, and this is definitely a unique one, so it might be right up your alley. But you can check my full thoughts on the blog today to decide if this one's for you.